Welcome back to the Raising Our Vibration podcast, where we explore higher consciousness through spiritual practice. And today, Stephen and I are going to continue our exploration of this phenomenon, really this epidemic of feeling tired, depleted. So much so, this is such an epidemic that there's new studies out that have defined an exhaustion disorder. So, and it makes sense when we think about what life has been like on the planet the last few years or last several years, with the pandemic, with these crazy weather situations, ongoing wars, this climate of extreme political divisiveness. It's really wearing on all of us, just wearing us down. And on top of that, our life is moving at such a fast pace these days. It seems like there's always more to do than we can possibly get done. And then add on to that, this inner narration of it, right? All our thoughts and interpretations and beliefs and fears, and this mind chatter that just keeps narrating and never gives us a break. So no wonder that we have this newly described exhaustion disorder and an epidemic of people feeling tired and depleted. So last time we talked about the first step to address this, and that being we just gotta get some more rest. We need to rest, and we need to activate our body's natural relaxation response, because this stress becomes so chronic and it's cycling continuously, so much so that many people never really experience what it's like to deeply relax, to decompress, and to let go. So last time we talked about, and Stephen guided us in just pausing and taking a slow, deep, conscious breath where we're really emphasizing the exhalation being long. Okay. And when the exhalation is long, that activates our parasympathetic nervous system, that activates our natural relaxation response and starts to just take the edge off the stress that we feel. It also really gets us out of our heads and into our body, into a sensory interoceptive awareness of the breath in our body. So that was last time. And we got a lot of positive feedback on that, that told us, yes, this is really something to continue on with and to take to the next level. So today we're going to talk about how to raise your vibration, how to boost your energy to the next level. So once you've taken the edge off, the stress, and taken even a few moments to pause and relax a bit, and maybe that's allowed you to get a little more rest, which probably all of us could use. And then what's the next step? How to take this practice to the next level? So in our book, Raising Our Vibration, and in our subtle energy meditation course, we talk about this idea that we need to learn to reorient our mindset around gathering more energy than we expend. So we have this kind of cultural bias these days about just putting it all out there, and this feeling that we can never do enough, that we can never get it all done. But what if we reoriented and really shifted our bias toward what can we do to gather more energy than we're expending, without feeling guilty about that, without feeling like we're not doing enough. Okay, so that's a real shift in mindset. And so in Tai Chi, there's this principle of 70%, 30%. And it applies to our stance, like having 70% more in a front leg versus 30 in the back, and so on. But it applies more widely in terms of our energy expenditure. What would it be like to orient towards only expending 70% of the energy that we have? And what happens to that reserve of 30% is that our bodies use that to rest and recover. Our immune systems use that to boost our immune response. We find that our minds and our thinking regenerates and becomes fresher and freer, more flexible, and more effective. So in line with that, we suggest a practice of monitoring our energy and attention to see what it is we're doing in our life that is feeding us, where we're gathering energy, and what it is we're doing in our lives that deplete us, that drain us, that exhaust us. And so we suggest in our course and in the book 2 different types of logs that we could use. One is a food and mood log, so that we are monitoring every single thing that we ingest in terms of food, beverages, especially caffeine. Even you might apply it to smoking or alcohol, anything that you ingest, and then noting before and after that your mood, your energy, and your mental clarity in terms of a scale from 0 to 10. And then secondly, doing the same thing with information like this podcast. So monitoring all the information that we take in, that we process, everything that we watch, all the conversations we engage in, all this energy and information exchange. And how do we feel after, say, watching the news, or after reading an inspirational book, or listening to a hopefully inspirational podcast? And we can create a log of that too. And so we start to become very mindful and intentional about everything that we consume, and notice if it's boosting our energy or depleting us. And what that's going to require is a development of 2 inner skills. And so I'm going to pass it over to Stephen to talk about these skills. One is interoception, the ability to feel sensations inside the body. And the second is mindfulness, which is the attitude with which we approach what we discover through interoception, in terms of being curious and compassionate and gentle with ourselves, really being a curious observer. So we combine those 2 skills. And so Stephen uses this a lot with clients that he's meeting with. And so, and he's discovered a lot about people's levels of interoception and mindfulness, as well as in the classes that we teach. So Stephen, I'll pass it to you to talk about interoception, mindfulness, and maybe some of the pitfalls or difficulties, or how you work with that.
Kevin, thank you. And especially love and blessings to everybody in your beautiful day, wherever you are. So first of all, to interoception, because I think when we use that word, sometimes people go, how do I apply that? So this is just practically. Now, interoception is basically the ability to tune into the inner nature, the inner states of your body, to actually notice and discern inner sensations, the felt sensations. So you're simply noticing during your day felt sensations inside your body. So a very simple exercise that Kevin and I often do is to pause. So a key is to pause. Most of the time I find with clients, great souls that I work with from all over the planet, like you, who are listening, that you have certain habitual patterns that you have adopted probably since you were very little, and you're continuing those, and there's no time to pause. So one of the first things that you need to do in order to interocept or move inwards is you need to be able to know how to pause in your day. Now, this might sound incredibly simple, but most people don't do it. We are so habit bound. We're either workaholics or we're so in our perceived flow of life, which can include our friends, our social media, our jobs, our whatever habits we do, that we don't pause and take time to actually discern what the inner state of our body really is like. So this is a really super simple exercise that you can do just for interoception first. And that is to feel down into your feet. So while you're listening to me, actually stamp your feet on the ground, like literally walk. And I sometimes, even with that, sometimes the different clients I have will say, oh, I can feel that. And then they're back up in their heads again. What I want you to do is actually stay down with your felt sensations in the feet. Now, sometimes to do that, I used to do things like pinch a toe or use my thumbnail and gently push into the soles of my feet so that you can actually feel them, because we live in a very sedentary lifestyle for many people on Zoom, computers, so on. We're not out in nature, standing in nature and aware of nature. Quite often we go from the lifestyles that we have out for a walk and we're still in our heads thinking about this, thinking of ideas, tuning into something on our phones even while we're walking. So get rid of the phones and simply rest down into your feet and take a moment to pause and direct your attention to the felt sensations in your feet by literally pushing them on the earth. If you can do this outside, it's even better. I do this every day on the grass. I go outside, I water the garden in my bare feet. And my wife came out yesterday and she said, in Japan, it's very there's a very cultured way you're supposed to do it. And I come from New Zealand, so I'm in my bare feet all the time. She said, why don't you ever put your shoes on? And it's because I love the feeling of the earth under my feet. It's like I can actually smell it, or that there's a sense of the beauty and the fragrance of the earth flowing up through my feet. And then when I'm watering the garden, at the moment, it's very hot in Japan. It's like on average in Celsius, about 35 degrees every day. And we've had this for a number of weeks, and it looks like we've got it for a number of weeks to come. And so when I water the trees, it's like I can literally feel the life-giving oxygen flowing out of it, because the trees are so happy to get the water. And I talk to them and I have a lovely conversation with the earth and the trees. Now, so to feel into that, I really encourage people to go out and put your hands on the earth, put your feet on the earth. And if you're inside, so if you're in a concrete jungle inside an apartment in the city, then when you're pressing your feet down on your floor in the apartment, just consider that right underneath your apartment, no matter how high you are up above it, that there is an earth energy right below you, and that you can feel it. There are different, probably parks in your area, or even small tracts of land that you can actually put your feet on. That earth energy is so important because, as Kevin mentioned, we're aware of all the heat waves around the world. So we're aware something's happening, that Mother Earth is kind of shifting in her parameters and actually letting all of us know who dwell, with the gift of her presence, that something is happening. So we're aware on a body level. And in fact, I was watching the BBC this morning, and they were saying the rise of disease like malaria, for example, is starting to spread all throughout the world because of the increasing heat. And so there is we're aware of this in the body. We were aware of this with COVID. It made everybody sit up and pay attention. So Kevin and I are saying, get back to your body. It is the primary source of information. It is your best technology. And if you're not in it, then you're not hearing the message. So that first simple interoceptive turn into your body and into your feet and into the felt sensations of the feet is one of the most crucial things you can do every day. All the clients that I have, I advise them very first thing when they wake up, because I often ask people, what's your routine? Oh, I wake up and I've got to get ready, so I'm brushing my hair, doing my tea, eating my breakfast. I quickly look at the paper, or I look at my phone, I dash off to work. Right? There's no pause. And so I always encourage people, the very first thing you do when you open your eyes is actually become aware of your body. Just feel the body lying on the bed and actually become aware of any tension in your body and take a breath into any areas of tension. Do that first. And then when you swing, so this only takes 2 breaths. So you got 1 breath as you're in bed, then very slowly, when you bring your feet over the side of the bed, actually place them on the floor, scrunch your feet up so you can feel the floor underneath you, and then relax. And when you scrunch your feet, take an inhale and feel that energy, and the power of the feet and the connection with the earth. And feel that grounding and feel it flood into your body as you inhale and hold your breath for just a split second. And as you exhale, let go of everything. And if you only do those couple of breaths, being aware that you're lying on the bed and then being aware that your feet are on the ground, you're actually turning into really simple felt sensations, really basic sensations. And then if you have time during the day, I always encourage people to do an interoceptive scan, just simply for tension. You're not trying to do anything too complicated. Just stop during the day, do a quick scan of your body. And if you've been working on the computer, you might find, oh, I've got tension in my shoulders. And it's just tightness. That's all you need to do to bring that interoceptive sense in, that sense of turning inwards and feeling the felt sensations. And then just take a moment, even if you only take 1 breath, deep breath into those shoulders, feel the energy of that calm breath as you breathe into your shoulders. You can even say calm as you inhale. Hold it for just a moment, then drop your shoulders, breathe out and shake them, right? Shake the shoulders so that you even take 1 breath. I always advise every single client, at the very minimum, do a breath whenever you remember. And ideally, you want to do it every hour. Those simple things, because it's incredible how much, when I check on homework people have done, how little homework they really do. Because the habitual patterns that drive us to everything that's outside the body are just so attractive, magnetic. So that's interoception. So I really encourage you to stop, pause, and scan your body for any tension, and start with your feet, because you're on your feet all day, and then go to any other part of your body that really gets overused, like your shoulders or your neck if you're doing a lot of computer work. And then how we bring mindfulness into that is that when we start to work with mindfulness, we become very aware of the inner chatter of the mind. So just consider right now what thoughts are preoccupying the space of your mind at the moment. So it could be your work, it could be your relationship, could be money, could be health, could be any part of that. So you want to go, first of all, just notice your narrative self. What is the inner dialogue of the narrative self? And then once you do that, mindfulness actually stands outside that narrative. So the narrative is your monkey mind. And with mindfulness, we start to switch between the inner narrator, so that monkey mind, and mindfulness, which is where you become fully absorbed in understanding that there is a knower or a witnessing observer beyond all the tensions of the narrative mind. So in a sense, you're going from understanding the tensions of the body, just as physical tensions, and then understanding the mind and the way the mind chatters, and helping that inner chatter to quieten down. Now, one of the ways that you can do that, and probably the way I've found most commonly that people will have tensions arise, is that, and you can do this right now while we're talking about this, is that most people will have some kind of block or tension from something that's happening in their life that's unresolved. So you could go to anything. It might be, and don't take anything too deep, too much of a struggle. It could be just a little concern or anxiety you've got about a financial situation, or maybe a concern you've got about a relationship with a colleague at work, or perhaps it could be something in your family life that's just showing up as a discomfort or an irritation, right? We all get irritated by people. So you can, you're being really honest about what is present and what those blocks are and where they're stored in your body. So they're usually stored in a place. And those stored tensions are connected with patterns of thinking and feeling and behavior. So here, what you want to do, and most of the time we don't know, we have those, they come up and they're irritable. So, typical situation, you've got a partner and you're just feeling irritated or held or stuck with some situation with your partner, something they're doing or something they're not doing, right? And quite often what we do, first thing we do is we project all our blocks onto the partner, out onto the world. Oh, there's something wrong with the government. There's something wrong with some organization. There's something wrong with my work colleague. There's something wrong with my partner, right? Rather than acknowledging that this sensation actually exists within you. So first of all, tune into the physical sensation. So let's say, I'll just give you an example as I'm going through this. So I've got this issue that's going on with my wife, and I'm thinking, oh, I really wish she'd stop whatever she's doing, yelling at the cat, right? So I'm turning into I'm actually sharing a little joke with you, because my wife it doesn't know what's going on with our cat at the moment, because the cat's behaving very erratically. So let's say I'm thinking, oh, I'm so irritated with my wife. She's always yelling at the cat. I wish she'd stop yelling. Now, I'm projecting, right? I project everything onto her. It's all my wife's fault. She's creating a hubbub with that cat. Instead of this, tune into where the physical tension is in your body, first of all. So this is just that simple interoception. Okay, I'm aware now that I've got this tension in my throat. Every time I think about my wife and the cat, my throat kind of clams up. So you tune into that and you just become aware of the physical tension first. So this is the interoceptive part. You're just simply becoming aware of the physical sensation and breathe into that, breathe that sense of calm. And as you exhale, feel a sense of release. Just that. So you're just feeling into the physical tension. So you're just noticing the physical tension. And you're just becoming aware, first and foremost, of the physical tension. And you're allowing that to release just through the breath. Okay. And then you want to look at the narrative mind. So the thoughts or the feelings or the memories associated with that. So you stay in that body part. So here I am, blocked in my throat because I'm irritated at my wife and she's yelling at the cat. And so now I feel into that emotion. So I start to become aware of what are the issues that I'm constantly bringing up in relation to that. What are the feelings? So I might feel that and go, okay, it's a feeling of irritation. It's kind of stuck in my throat. What am I protecting? What am I holding on to? What is that block? that's here in my throat, and how can I help it? So instead of you projecting everything out, now you're using interoception by becoming aware of the physical tension, and then you're using mindfulness to become aware of what are the thoughts, memories, feelings you've got around that. And then we're going to apply mindfulness to the uncomfortable feelings. So here, my uncomfortable feelings around my wife might relate back to, oh, I remember my mom always used to yell at, me, for example. That could be one thing that could come up. So you're starting to breathe into that feeling, and it's starting to come up. So you're bringing mindfulness. You're not the feeling, because you're actually starting to become mindfully aware that there is a feeling there, and you can relate to it. You're not pushing it away, neither are you grabbing onto it. And so what you're going to do is bring a gentle sense of welcoming to that feeling. In other words, it's a bit like a child, was the way I described it to different clients of mine. It's a bit like you've got a child in there, a child in this case that was yelled at when you were a little kid. And you're just bringing, and so that child's a bit afraid, right? So it could be that the reason that I get so irritated with my wife and the cat is actually not to do with my wife and the cat. It's because I've got this fear, this memory, this mindful chatter that goes on that says every time somebody yells at somebody, somebody's going to get hurt. In this case, me. In this case, the little child. So I'm bringing that sense of welcoming and nurturing, a sense of kindness, a sense of befriending now, mindfully, to that feeling. So you just simply, you can do this right now. You can close your eyes. You can go to a part of your body where there's a sense of tension that you might be holding. So you're aware of the physical tension. And then you just simply call to mind the emotion that you might feel there. So it might be, you're just feeling blocked in life. So it might be a feeling of not being enough, of being unlovable, of fear of being laughed at. My daughter often talks about that feeling of not being cared for. That's my wife's one, right? There could be anything. So mine could be a fear of being yelled at, right? So maybe there is an emotion that's particularly present, that's present because of that current situation you're dealing with. So the interoceptive part is you notice where you feel it in the body. So in here, it's my throat. And then as you bring mindfulness with it, to it, around it, you simply sit with the feeling that it has. So I can feel this, there's this throat that remembers that time of my mum yelling at me because I didn't work. Wasn't doing my homework when I was a little kid, just as an example. And here you just bring this gentle feeling of curiosity, acceptance, gentleness, compassion. You just sit with it. You just simply be present with it like a good friend. So you befriend it, or you embrace it with kindness. A bit like a mum and a child, or a dad and a child. You just bring that gentle kindness to a child that's hurt, in this case to the discomfort in you. So you just bring that. You allow that little part of you to come up without being judged or analyzed. Just simply observing, being mindful, and being present with this quiet, gentle kindness and acceptance. You're not being the emotion, you're actually being with the emotion. That's the crucial part. You're just sitting with it and being present with it, embracing it with kindness, and actually developing a new relationship to the emotion through mindfulness, turning towards it and accepting it. So you can slowly open your eyes. That's just a short example. And I'll pass back to Kevin on that note, because that's just simply interoception, the physical tension, mindfulness by sitting with the emotion and being aware, observing it, befriending it.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for that beautiful practice, that deeper dive. So these moments of pause, they can be, as you described, from very brief, just a check-in with the breath, or if there's something really you find, oh no, there's something really pressing, they can be deeper, where you really go into interoception, into the tension, and mindfulness, allowing the feeling to arise and any associations to arise. So there's a whole continuum of how we can approach these pauses depending on how much time we have and where we are in our day. And we just want to leave you today with this idea, this practice, really, not an idea, this practice of monitoring, getting used to pausing and monitoring our inner state, and then just applying a simple antidote to whatever is happening, whether it's just a conscious breath or just noting your mood, maybe on a scale of 0 to 10. What's my mood at this moment? 0, I'm feeling lousy. 10, feeling great. What's my energy level? Oh, I'm exhausted, depleted. Oh, feeling bright and feeling energized. And mental clarity. What's that quality of mental clarity? 0 to 10. So that's another way that you can approach this. And then and if you get in the habit of doing that, say with everything you consume in terms of physical consumption and also psychological and information consumption, get in the habit of just pausing and monitoring your mood, energy, and mental clarity after you consume something. And you'll start to notice what is adding to the stress you feel, what is depleting you, and what is feeding you, what is giving you energy. Okay. And the more we can make little shifts in terms of doing a little more of what feeds us energy and a little less of what's depleting us, we'll notice that our energy starts to recover. We start to feel more resilient, more stress resilient. We feel more resourced inside. And that's something that we're not encouraged to do in our culture, right? We're encouraged to just work it to the bone and do it till we drop. But that's killing us. That's wearing us out. So these are some simple ways that we can start to recover, regenerate, revitalize, and be more mindful in our lives. So just take a moment right now just to close your eyes and tune into how you feel at the end of this podcast, at the end of listening or watching here. And just notice your mood. Where is your mood from 0 to 10? And just allow your body to respond. Don't try to figure out a number. Just let your body give you a number. Mood. So what number comes to mind? And what's your energy level? 0 to 10. Maybe you feel a little more inspired or hopeful. Like there's something you can do. And what's your mental clarity like? Maybe you have a little more insight now. 0 to 10. All right. So thank you, Stephen, for this discussion. Thank you all for listening, for engaging with us. And thank you for your practice. And I hope you've gathered some simple practices that you can do, and also some deep practices that you can do that you can bring into your life to reverse this trend of exhaustion and depletion and start to build a positive energy cycle and raise your vibration, boost your energy. All right. And if you'd like more information on meditation and awareness practices like this, including the ROV meditation app, Raising Our Vibration book, and our online courses, you can visit us at raisingourvibration.net. And we'd love to hear from you there. Until next time, bye for now. Love and blessings.